All right, so I saw The Running Man. They were handing out those posters as you walked in, so I guess I have one of those to sit in my closet for a while, probably. But yes, The Running Man, the newest Edgar Wright movie, the newest Stephen King adaptation. We've had a good chunk of those this year. But what is The Running Man? Should you watch it? All of that good stuff. So the concept behind this, real quick, is a pretty simple idea, which is a contestant, Ben Richards, played by Glenn Powell, joins a TV show called The Running Man. And it's essentially you survive 30 days just out and about as police officers and what they call hunters try and hunt Ben Richards down. If he can survive the full 30 days, he wins a bunch of money. If he cannot, then he dies. They hunt him to kill him. It's also very much a dystopian future movie. That is a big part of both the novel and the book, is the kind of dystopian nature. I said the novel and the book. The novel and the film. It's very much about the world and the dystopian world and how people are being controlled. I think that definitely this movie does have some parallels to current day. I have read the book as well, so I can compare the two, including wildly different endings. We will talk about that once we get to spoilers, because I think we're gonna have to do spoilers for this, because honestly, that's without giving too much away, that is my least favorite part of this. Honestly, of both the book and the movie is how it ends, although I think it works better in the book. We'll talk about it. But ultimately, this is a very fun concept, and the second I heard that this was going to be, made, I hadn't read the book at the time. I picked up the book. I said, I should read that book before it comes out. I forgot why I had that thought, so I ultimately bought the book and read it, and then realized, there's a movie coming out. For some reason, I had forgot about it. But anyway, once I put two and two together that this is happening, I was excited because Edgar Wright, I think, is a really good filmmaker, even if I didn't love his last film, Last Night in Soho, I believe it was called. He's done a lot of great things, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. I really like Baby Driver. I think that's an underrated movie. So I was excited to see maybe a Baby Driver type movie. I think Glenn Powell is someone who is, has a really high hit rate for me. I think he's just really fun to watch on screen, and he is fantastic on screen. I think the strength of this film is two things. It's the acting, where Glenn Powell definitely is the highlight for me. We also get Michael Cera, who I think Michael Cera is a really underrated actor. I think he really works in a lot of stuff. So I really liked him. So I think, and again, I really think it's just Glenn Powell, though. Everyone's solid in the movie, but Glenn Powell is he's a lot of fun to watch. There are, there are humorous sequences in this. Part of that is just Edgar Wright being Edgar Wright, but it's also, there's humor in the book as well. And I think that he plays the humor really well. There's like a word association game that happens early on that I think is really fun. And I think he does a great job in that scene. So Powell, part of why he's so perfect for this role of Ben Richards is not only can he do all the action stuff, he can do the comedic stuff as well, and it requires you kind of playing different characters. I was actually a little worried about, is he going to go like full Hitman with the kind of some of the disguises in this? Not that, I really liked Hitman, but it would have felt tonally off. I think that he did it in a much more realistic way, this one, and again, they both were perfect for their respective movies. But yeah, Glenn Powell, fantastic. I think there are some really good action set pieces in this film as well. Edgar Wright still knows how to direct action, although I will say this might be his least Edgar Wrighty movie. Even Last Night in Soho, which wasn't a movie that I think fully worked, you can still watch that and very clearly say that is an Edgar Wright film. For The Running Man, it's not as clear. In fact, if you didn't see who directed it and you watched it, you could be surprised to learn that it was him that directed it, right? I don't think, usually the camera is so full of life, and there were moments that it felt like an Edgar Wright movie, but it just wasn't like throughout the whole film, and it definitely felt a lot more toned down. You wonder a little bit of, hey, this is a big budget movie. It's a big budget movie that is based on IP. It's based on a popular book, but it isn't based on like a it's not a Marvel movie, right? So because of that, it's going to be tough. Maybe they wanted a more conventional looking movie. That's something that's possible. Although I do think that I think we all like Edgar Wright better when he's going full Edgar Wright, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they feel general audiences won't like that as much. I don't know. I'll bring up the book again. You know, you see on the middle there, written as Richard Bachman, which, if that name sounds familiar, if you watched A Long Walk earlier this year, that was the same pen name he wrote that book under. I do think that, so for Stephen King's writing style, it very much, I know he's talked a lot about how he kind of just writes the story as it goes. He doesn't necessarily have an ending in mind. And I do think that because of that, in this particular story, you know, he's kind of known for not having the best endings. I think because of that, it does kind of lose some steam. I can't really get into it without getting into spoilers. So, I guess let's start here before we get into spoilers. Should you watch this movie? I would still say yeah. If you like action movies, I think you will have a good time with this. There definitely are some, I think, like political moments here. Nothing like too extreme, but it's not just your traditional popcorn movie, but it gives you what you want if you want a popcorn movie. I would also say this one's a bit darker than your traditional popcorn movie as well. So I believe this is an R-rated movie. So while it's not like a severe R-rated movie or anything like that, there is that, enough to get that rating, which means that, it gets a bit darker than, again, your traditional action movie, but I think that's good, and I think we need kind of those action movies back. Even Predator's PG-13 now, right? Like, it's cool to see that in a packed crowd. It's cool that something that, again, I say it's based on a book. It's also a remake of another movie. I feel like I should probably bring that up. Well, this one was a 2025 release, obviously, which is actually the same year that the book takes place, which is funny in its own right. There was an original movie that had Arnold Schwarzenegger starring it back in 1987, which was I watched it because I had never seen it. It is not the story of The Running Man. It's a fun Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but that is what it is. Like, it kind of takes bits and pieces, but it almost feels like a different movie that takes place in the same universe than it is this story. This is a retelling, and at times maybe a bit too faithful of a retelling. But yeah, that's kind of where I would leave you is, if you like action movies, if you like Glen Powell, I think definitely check this out. If you're a big Edgar Wright fan, but the rest of the stuff doesn't seem super interesting, I don't know if you're fully going to get what you want out of this one. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10 is my rating. If that seems like your kind of thing, check it out. Again, I think there are going to be some people that really connect with this, but my biggest issue is with the ending itself. So let's get into spoilers and talk about why the ending didn't fully work for me. So yeah, spoilers, 3, 2, 1. If you haven't turned it off now, you have been warned. So the movie. So first, let's talk about how the book ends. I'm going to spoil both here. The book ends with. So Ben Richards has hijacked an airplane at the end, and he is going to, he is flying the airplane, and ultimately it ends with him crashing into the tower where all the games are held. He kills himself and everybody in the tower, and that is how the story ends. The film didn't want to go that route for a couple of reasons. One, that is very much not a crowd-pleasing ending, and I don't think it fully works in the book for me, just because Ben Richards cares so much about his family. It feels kind of like a weird move for him to decide to just kill himself and everyone in the building. It doesn't feel like what he's been fighting for this whole time. It almost feels like he's quitting, which it just doesn't fully work for me in the book. It's not a horrible ending. It's just not my favorite part of the book. It's also, some people love that ending in the book. I'll mention that as well. So that's a me thing more so than it's a bad ending, I would say. In the movie, they don't want to go that route, and I think it's a bad idea what they did, and even worse execution. Really, with the way it's presented, I think takes all the wind out of its sails. Where you see Ben Richards, it's like, is he going to crash into this tower or is he not? Then you see a bomb come and blow up the plane, and then it cuts to like this YouTube video essentially of a guy explaining why maybe this didn't happen, and then it cuts to Ben Richards still being alive, and I guess an interpretation of it could be like, is this just like, did the ending actually happen? But I don't know, we see it happen, right? And there's no dream sequences prior to it. So I guess there was a dream sequence prior to it, but that was a literal dream where you saw a character wake up. I think the movie is implying that this is what happened, that Ben Richards survived, killed everyone in the movie, and then, or killed everyone, all the producers and all that, and then escaped and met his family. And I just think when it cuts to the YouTube video thing, it just takes all of the wind out of the movie's sails. Like, the movie has done honestly a great job at building tension. I'm there with Glen Powell, with on the airplane. I'm experiencing all of this to kind of cut that out, it just wasn't a decision that worked for me personally, and I think it made it kind of lame in my opinion. And again, I think it's trying for a more crowd pleasing ending, which I do understand the logic behind. I think that's probably good. The issue is I just think Stephen King kind of wrote himself into a corner when he made it and kind of had to do the plane flying into a tower ending, which I feel like I should mention as well. Part of why I meant to mention this earlier, part of why the movie didn't want to end it that way is obviously like the book was written before 9/11. Doing that now, like, that makes you think something differently when you watch that. Maybe enough time has passed that you could depict that on screen, but like, I get why they wanted to go a different direction. That part's totally fine. But I think the movie, quite frankly, did a pretty solid job of getting me to kind of want to see the tower explode. Like, I was kind of more okay with that, especially after it makes it seem like the family has died. Like, you get that, and I just think it kind of felt a little cheap how it happened. I think that if you're going to write a scenario where it just seems impossible for the main characters to survive, you kind of have to then make it that the main character doesn't survive, or you actually have to have an escape hatch that feels like it could happen, I guess. So yeah. Couple other things I should have mentioned in non-spoilers. I'll mention them now. Michael Cera, fantastic. I think maybe I did mention that. I'll mention it again. He was really good, really fun, underrated actor, Michael Cera. And then also Colman Domingo. I didn't mention this, but he's like legitimately Oscar worthy in this movie. He's fantastic. Colman Domingo, big fan of everything he does. He's the MVP of the film. So yeah, some really fun acting, some good action, and a story that kind of runs out of steam. No pun intended. But yeah, those are my thoughts here on this one. What do you think about The Running Man? Have you seen it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.